We thought gold was going to $4,000. Silver, $50 per ounce. No, make that 60. No, not today. I don't know how your morning's been, but I woke up this morning. I looked at the price of gold. It was up $6, $7 per ounce. I thought, cool. It's a couple days before Christmas, right? We got a lot going on. I thought it won't be a big day. Things should just kind of be normal, no problems. I look at the price of gold 10 minutes later, and it's down $10 per ounce, almost a 1% swing. Did you see that? And I'm like, what happened? What went on? GDP numbers. And then I got mad. Do you ever get mad about this? I got mad. I saw these great GDP numbers, and that just clobbered gold and silver for that matter. But I want to talk to you about some shocking information I have regarding these GDP numbers, and I want to look at some other factors going on, which maybe indicate that those third quarter GDP numbers, maybe, we don't want to be too skeptical, right? But you ever think that maybe they're not too accurate? Let's talk about it right now. Well, Joe Biden continued with his economic miracle, and third quarter GDP blew away expectations. What was it? 3.2, 3.3%, expectations of 2.6%, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm real skeptical. As a matter of fact, I was shocked when I talked to my twin 10-year-old daughters. They're in 5th grade at a local elementary school, and I asked them, I said, did anything funny happen at school today? And they said, yeah, we had some people from the government show up, and they were teaching us about this thing called GDP. And then they had all these pieces of paper, and they wanted us to add a bunch of numbers together. That settles it. The GDP is being figured by a bunch of 5th graders. And you know what? I think the darn 5th graders could do a better job and a more accurate and probably definitely more honest job of figuring out what the GDP is than what we're getting from our government right now. I call BS. Are they even factoring in the effects of inflation into these numbers? Look, what happens is good GDP, let's review this quickly. Good GDP means the economy's strong, and that gives Jerome Powell and his cohorts at the Federal Reserve solid ground from which they can continue with their tight, hawkish, aggressive, whatever word you want to use to describe it, monetary policy, that they can continue to raise rates in this valiant fight that they have against inflation, although we know they can't really fight inflation, and they're really not fighting inflation, because if they were really trying to fight inflation, they would move the rates above the inflation rate. But that's a subject for a different video. I call BS on all of this. These numbers, there's so much crud going on in the economy. Look, you live, I live, we go out there, we try to pay our home insurance, we try to fill our cars with gas, we try to buy food, we try to raise families. Things are very difficult in the U.S. economy. And there's a number of other factors that the government can't fudge on that show that things are getting very tough out there for Americans. We're going to cover some crazy, insane things going on in the economy right now that show that this GDP that's so great maybe isn't so great. But first, I want to tell you, you're not crazy. And I appreciate you joining me here in Ron's Basement. We can feel a little crazy at times because we don't always go with the herd. We dig a little deeper. We are an exclusive, small part of the population, and we need to stick together. I hope you feel like you're welcome here, because you are welcome here. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Now let's get back to the video. I'm just going to touch on a few of these because your time is important. If things are so great, why were home sales, quote unquote, frozen in November, the worst since the Lehman crisis? This morning, we get news from Micron Technologies that things aren't so great in the tech field, but we already knew that, right? Because Facebook, Microsoft, all the big tech companies are laying people off in this strong Joe Biden economic miracle economy that we had in the third quarter. Why were all these companies laying people off? That doesn't make sense. Oh, it makes sense when you consider that the GDP numbers were figured by a bunch of fifth graders. And if you tried to buy cat food lately, my wife came home the other day and said food for Jasper has at least tripled in the last year. And if things are so great in the economy, Joe, why is Amazon stock down 50%? Amazon, that's like the world's biggest retailer. That's like the biggest bellwether indicator for what's going on in the economy. Their stock's down 50%. They too are laying off people in this strong, great economy that we have. Shipping rates are down by 70%. That means if you want to ship your wife across the ocean, or husband for that matter, it's going to cost you only 30% of what it would just a year ago. They're canceling sailings from China to the United States of those big ships with those big 40-foot, 20-foot shipping containers because people aren't buying goods and services. New home builder sentiment is at decades lows, but you think that's bad? Go take a look at the car business, where everything we're hearing now is a big disaster. People bought cars in the last 2 years that they owe significantly more money on the car than the car is worth. The banks are panicking. The repo men are busier right now than they have ever been. And now we're getting all these reports that men my age, yes, I'm 52 years old, a lot of guys my age and my age range have decided not to work. They just kind of gave up on trying to make it in the U.S. economy. And I understand the frustration. I haven't given up, but I understand how some people would give up. Things are so difficult out there, and in a lot of ways, the system is stacked against you. Unless you're a part of the 1% or the top 5% or maybe even 10% in this country, it has become very difficult to just make it as a middle-class person in the United States of America. And I'm not going to go on a long diatribe about that, but I do blame our leaders. I do blame the elites and greed. They've manipulated the system so that so many of the resources are at the very top of the pyramid that there's not enough in the middle or at the bottom. People are getting very frustrated. I'll end with this. Last I heard, the top richest 3 men in the United States was Buffett, Gates, and Elon Musk. That those 3 guys alone, they had as much wealth as the bottom 50% of the people in the country. Now, I will say, I think probably all 3 of them, but I know Gates and Buffett have publicly said they think that's screwed up. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter, right? We're living in a strong economy. Everything's great. Just ask Joe. He'll tell you how great things are in the U.S. economy. We'll see how it plays out in the coming months and quarters. Right now, we got to suffer through a little bit lower of a gold price and a silver price because of us crazy thinking that if it's a strong economy, they can continue to be aggressive with monetary policy, which is going to push up the dollar, which is going to push down gold and silver. But in the end, Mother Nature wins. Thanks for joining me. You're always welcome in Ron's Basement. Have a great day, and I'll see you, yes, you, there's only one you, soon.
Way down low. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing a bushel of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. That's the jingle bell run.